There's a question I hear in two different worlds. I hear it from patients on the south side of Chicago who are just getting started with low carb. And I hear it from people who find me on YouTube, who already know the language of keto, carnivore, fasting, macros, and metabolic health. The question sounds a little different depending on who is asking, but it usually comes down to this. Dr. Hampton, am I eating the right ratio of fat to protein? And more specifically, should I be doing a 80-20? Now let's be honest. Some people in the low-carb and carnivore world talk about 80-20 like it came down from the mountain on stone tablets. Meanwhile, somebody watching is sitting there with a plate full of ribeye, 3 pats of butter, a side of confusion, and a stomach that feels like it swallowed a brick. So let's talk about it. Because for some people, chasing a high-fat ratio may help. For others, it may be the very thing stalling progress. And if you're frustrated, hungry, overstuffed, not losing weight, or spending your day calculating your dinner like you're preparing taxes instead of a meal, this conversation is for you. Let's start simple. There are 3 basic macronutrients: carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Carbohydrates are the body's easiest source of quick fuel. Protein provides the building blocks for muscle, immune function, hormones, enzymes, hair, skin, nails, and tissue repair. Fat provides energy, helps with hormone production, supports cell membranes, helps absorb fat-soluble vitamins, and can be an incredibly stable fuel source when carbs are low. Historically, in the standard American diet, people were taught to fear fat. Fat was blamed for everything: heart disease, weight gain, bad cholesterol, global warming, probably somebody's cousin's bad attitude. So many people were taught to eat low-fat foods that were loaded with sugar and starch. And then we acted surprised when obesity and diabetes exploded. That fear of fat pushed people toward exactly the kinds of food that drive insulin up, keep hunger high, and make fat loss harder. So when people discover low-carb, keto, or carnivore, it can feel liberating. They learn that fat is not the villain they were told it was. And that's true. But here's where the pendulum sometimes swings a little too hard. People go from fat is not bad to the more fat, the better. And that is not always true. That's the first key lesson in this video. Fat is not the enemy, but fat is not automatically the answer to every problem either. Now, where does this 80-20 ideal come from? Usually people are referring to getting about 80% of calories from fat and 20% from protein. Sometimes they mean grams. Sometimes they mean calories. Sometimes they mean the fat to protein ratio by weight. And sometimes, bless our hearts, we're all using the same numbers and talking about completely different things. That's one reason this conversation gets confusing fast. The reason high-fat ratios became popular is that in certain settings, especially therapeutic ketosis, more dietary fat can help maintain ketosis, improve energy during adaptation, and reduce symptoms for people transitioning away from carbs. For some people with neurological conditions, seizure disorders, or very specific therapeutic goals, higher fat may be appropriate. For some people who are underweight, healing from illness, or struggling to eat enough, more fat can also help. And for some people early in adaptation, increasing fat makes the transition easier. That part is real. But here's what gets missed. Ketosis is driven primarily by carbohydrate restriction, not by winning an Olympic medal in butter consumption. That's worth repeating. Ketosis is driven primarily by carb restriction. If carbs are low enough, many people can enter ketosis without forcing themselves to hit some magical fat percentage. And that matters because a lot of people chasing fat ratios are not doing it for seizure control or therapeutic ketosis. They're doing it for weight loss. And weight loss is where this gets interesting. If you're trying to lose body fat, your body already has a built-in fuel tank. That fuel tank is called body fat. So if you keep adding more and more dietary fat while also trying to force fat loss, you may be giving the body plenty of incoming fuel without creating much reason to dip into stored fuel. That doesn't mean dietary fat is bad. It means context matters. Your plate should match your purpose. If the goal is adaptation, the strategy may look one way. If the goal is maintenance, it may look another. If the goal is therapeutic ketosis, different story. If the goal is fat loss while preserving muscle, that's another story too. This is where protein becomes incredibly important. Protein is not just the other macro. Protein is protective. It helps preserve lean mass. It supports satiety. It is especially important as we age. And if you are over 40, over 50, over 60, or trying to lose weight, preserving muscle is not optional. It is metabolic gold. Muscle helps with glucose disposal. Muscle supports strength, balance, independence, and long-term health. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is people under-eating protein because they are so busy trying to hit a fat percentage. They're drinking fat. They're adding butter to everything, putting tallow in coffee, making every meal look like it slipped and fell into a candle factory. And then they wonder why they feel nauseated, stalled, or still hungry. Because here's the irony. Some people get too little fat and feel tired, constipated, low energy, or miserable. And some people get too much fat and end up overfull, undernourished in terms of protein, and stalled. Both extremes can create problems. This is why individuality matters. There is no one ratio that proves you are doing keto or carnivore correctly. There is only the question, how is your body responding? Are you less hungry? Is your blood sugar improving? Are you preserving muscle? Is your energy stable? Are your cravings improving? Are you moving towards your goal? Those questions matter more than whether your app congratulated you for hitting 80% fat. And let me say something that may free a lot of people. Some of the most successful patients I've seen do not count macros at all. They reduce carbs to under 20 to 30 total carbs per day. They eat whole, satisfying foods. They prioritize protein. They use fat to satiety. And they stop eating when they're full. That simple framework works beautifully for many people. Now, that doesn't mean macros are useless. Tracking can be a tool. It can teach awareness. It can help troubleshoot. It can provide structure. But the moment the tool becomes theology, we've got a problem. Because then people stop listening to their body and start obeying a spreadsheet. And your body is smarter than your spreadsheet. So what should people do instead? First, keep carbs low enough to support your goals. Second, prioritize adequate protein, not low protein, adequate protein. Third, use fat strategically. Enough to feel satisfied, enough to support energy, enough to make the diet sustainable, but not too much that you're force-feeding fat to hit a ratio that may not fit your needs. Fourth, pay attention to your season of life. A younger athlete, a woman in menopause, a person with insulin resistance, a lean person trying to maintain weight, and a person using keto therapeutically may all have different approaches. That's not failure, that's physiology. And fifth, give yourself permission to adjust. If you're ravenously hungry, maybe you need more food overall. If you're constipated, low energy, and dragging, maybe fat is too low. If you feel stuffed, nauseated, and stalled, maybe fat is too high for your current goal. That's not cheating, that's learning. And I want viewers to hear this clearly. The goal is not to become a perfect macro accountant. The goal is to become metabolically healthy. The goal is not to impress the internet with your fat percentage. The goal is to build a way of eating that helps your body heal, that helps you lose excess weight if needed, that helps you preserve muscle, that helps you reduce cravings, that helps you live. Because at the end of the day, health is not about becoming the valedictorian of butter math. It's about understanding what the body needs and having the wisdom to respond. So if you've been chasing 80-20 and it's working for you, wonderful. But if it's not working, that does not mean low-carb keto or carnivore failed you. It may simply mean that your ratio needs a reality check. You are not a formula. You are a person. And the best dietary strategy is the one that helps you heal while still being sustainable in real life. That's the lesson. Less macro dogma, more metabolic awareness, less fear, more curiosity, less chasing numbers, more listening to your body. And that, my friends, is how progress starts. I'll see you in the next video.